on the journey toward an electrified future. Some are further down the road than others. America's largest lineup of electrified vehicles is getting even larger.
I'm a millionaire. I'm not a millionaire? I'm a millionaire?
Yeah, we're listening to MMD because. Hey, gotcha. Got it. Got it. Oh. Wait, how? What did you guys end up doing this for? Need that, Tokyo. Need that. Y'all need to save me one more 95. Yeah, come on. Here. I think he had like Pocket Deadeye or some shit. He's a troll. I just need one more 95, and then I'll pay for the other one cake out. Or another limited would be nice too, cake out. You know, why not? Paul, what's up, man?
By the way, for those of you already in chat, I'm actually waiting for my boy DK to get done with his stream.
Purdue on top. For sure.
He's the guest, so what I'm probably going to do right now is go ahead and put you on the lineup screen real quick. So you can look at the offense, and I'll switch over to the defense after a few minutes as well.
That's the first time I've ever pulled in.
That's who you're hearing in the background, by the way. We're going to go over the moves that have happened and all that
Why
since
they give
then.
Ward such a low card? Can I please stop getting 92 sneaking 95s? Please. Please. I'm begging y'all. Please. Yeah, they just reloaded kind of. They did lose a pass rusher, man. They lost one. That's gonna be the key for real. They didn't really lose much else, but losing Vaughn, that was a championship move right there.
Hopefully that's okay with you guys.
Nah, nobody, right? Nobody. But I'm saying they gotta replace that type of pass rush, sort of. You know? Oh, see, he's running this rat. He's running this rat.
Here's the defense, you guys. Once again, sorry for the delay.
Right inside. 3 more. Please, just 195 at least. Just give me a 95, bro. Just give me a 95, please. Oh, I'm begging y'all. What do I gotta do? Do I gotta get on my hands and knees and beg? Just one. Russ would be nice so I could just play with him. Bro, y'all some hating motherfuckers. I hate you, dude. Alright. Okay, Couch, whenever you ready, sir. Whenever you ready, sir. They hate you. What, Prince? Like, hello? You watch me do this! You watch me do this. This is dumb. Dumb. Only me. And y'all laugh at me. I really don't like it. Oh, this cat is annoying, bro. This cat is so annoying today. Really? Whatever works, man. I'm just waiting on you, Chief. Whatever works. I'm just waiting on you, man.
Cat, get the fuck off the counter. Yeah, don't auto sensitivity my shit.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah. Well, nobody cares if Amara's stressed out. She's a cat. Yes, you fucking are.
Land is dying. I have to find a way to fix it all.
What's up, man? Give me a second. My phone's being dumb. Don't know what this is about. Do. Okay, hold on. I think it's the volume. Can you hear me? Okay, whatever the hell's going on, I don't like it. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm doing some technical difficulties at the moment. We'll be booting up here in just a sec. Special teams doesn't really matter. I'm wondering if it's just my phone being dumb. Yeah, let me restart it. Hopefully he's at least listening in so he knows I have to reboot my stuff real quick. Here's the practice squad. Nobody cares about that. So real quick, for those of you who missed the last interview, we went ahead and decided to just say fuck it and sign Aaron Rodgers because the rookie quarterback did next to nothing his rookie season. DK radio, yeah. I don't know what happened. When I first called him, the sound was coming through, and then when I called him the second time, it didn't go through. So I think, yeah, he's in chat now because he just rated, I think. I don't know. I don't have chat up. I'm waiting for my phone to reset. But if you're in chat still, DK, my phone's gonna restart, and then I'm gonna try to Discord call you again. It would not let me put the sound on anything, so apologies for that. But yeah, we signed Aaron Rodgers. The rookie quarterback was just not good. I don't think we signed anyone else, actually. I think we kept everyone else. What's up, DK? I should be calling you on Discord any minute now. My phone just got done resetting, so I can call you on that. Apologies for not having a camera, guys. The camera I had actually went out, basically. Like, I can't find it anywhere. So, or I have not, actually no, I found it, but the mount thing I can't find, so hopefully I can find that soon. And yeah, I think the volume should work now. Okay, let me try calling you again since it actually like rebooted and it seems to be listening to what I want it to do now. Alright, here we go. Can you hear me? Alright, you can hear me. Alrighty. Okay, let me just put this on the phone stand. And I can hear you too. Chat, can you hear him?
Awesome.
Making sure they can hear you too. Sometimes I have to turn the... Okay, so I gotta turn the sensitivity up just a smidge.
Do I need to turn my mic up?
Yeah, you do that. You do that just a little bit. I'm gonna turn the sensitivity up a smidge and maybe that'll work. Okay, can you guys hear him any better? And can you hear me any better too? Because if you hear me better, you can probably hear him better as well. We signed Rodney Harrison. No, it's quieter now? How? You're fine though? I'm fine, but you can't hear him at all?
Can't hear me?
What's the podcast about? My mic's fine. Okay, what's the pod? Okay, so basically I'm going to be asking DK a lot of stuff because normally I I call my guests a little bit before, but he was streaming, so we needed to push that up a little bit, and so he's actually going to learn exactly what I'm talking about at the same time you guys will. Basically, I'm going to ask you about your Twitch career, both as a viewer and as a streamer itself. I'm going to ask you about stuff off stream, like hobbies, whatever have you, right? And then we're going to talk a little bit about sports too. And that's the gist of what we're going to be talking about.
Awesome.
Can you guys hear him now? As soon as I get confirmation of that, we can actually start. But a one-person interview where they can't hear you isn't going to be very fun. So, real quick, going after the off-season moves, because they can't hear you. Aaron Rodgers we signed. Rookie quarterback was just not good. We signed Rodney Harrison because our offensive line needed someone better than who we had. We drafted this tight end here. And then for defense, I think we didn't really do much on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, all the other guys we drafted or signed were depth players, so they're not going to really see any action on the team. And to explain the franchise here, because I don't have a camera right now, the franchise is there more for you guys to have something to look at while we're talking, since the camera doesn't exist right now. And hopefully that's okay with you guys, and you guys will enjoy what we're doing here. And we're basically going to watch franchise games. Every guest, I think, normally goes through at least 2 games. So that's the goal, kind of, for each one as a minimum, is we watch 2 games while we're chatting. And then if there happens to be time and we feel like we can get a third one in, then we do that. Last person we had was Dino, and he actually was there for the playoff run, which only was a singular game before the off season, and so he helped me draft and sign the free agents.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and start with just a real quick bio about you that you feel is the most important information about you as a person and as a streamer.
Yeah. So, I guess first and foremost, my actual name is Dwight Parker. Live in New York. I went to college for marketing. While I was there, I got to play a little bit of rugby. So a little bit different from what most people know me for in football and playing Madden, which I'll get into a little bit later. But in terms of sports, I played a lot of sports while I was in high school, football, basketball, made those teams. Didn't get to play too much, but nevertheless, just my sporting background in general. And then somewhere in the middle of all that, I would say like right before I graduated high school, around my senior year, I took up streaming, and that's kind of where we are today, taking it full time now. So I think that's like a nice overview. Yeah,
that's a nice overview. That's like how you look up people and then Wikipedia comes up and that's that first paragraph. That was basically your first paragraph, and it was very, very good. That's normally what they highlight when you look someone up. So yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good shortened way of kind of getting everything that's important into a singular paragraph. All right, so let's chat about your streaming first. So when you got into it was after your senior year, correct?
Yes.
What actually made you make that jump? Was it just a random, you saw other people kind of doing it and you thought you might be good at it yourself? Was it something you kind of thought about during your other years of high school, but you needed to clear high school off off the thing before you could actually stream? Or tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so it was a lot. Usually, and I'm sure you could kind of relate, or any of us. It's not usually one thing. It's for the most part, for most people. It's
Yeah.
not usually one thing. It's, oh, I saw this other person stream, and then this feeling happened, and maybe this moment in my life happened. So it was kind of like all that at once for me. At the time, it was to kind of give a Madden timetable on, to this. It was like around Madden 25.
Oh, so that was in the Madden, like,
15.
that was like Madden 13.5 or Madden 15. Because
Yeah,
didn't, like,
it was Madden 15. Madden
yeah,
15 was,
Madden
was
15.
actually what it was.
That
Yeah.
was, if I remember correctly, I'm probably wrong, but I think that was the one that had OBJ on it.
Sherman.
Oh, it's Sherman. I think OBJ was the year after that or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I was close. We've had a lot of covers, so I'm surprised I got like the jersey color right, or at least close. I'd say yeah, it's definitely always a couple of things with most people. Like for me, I've said this in a couple other podcasts, but this is definitely a new audience, so they probably haven't heard any of it. I went into the Twitch world. I actually first followed Up and Adam before he even like started being a streamer and all that. I think the reason why I followed him was because I liked his name, and so I just followed him randomly. And before I re-followed him to check to make sure his alerts worked, I was like, he literally said that was like when he made his account, like within a month or so. That's when I was following, and then I kind of reset my followage so that he can make sure his alerts work. And so he already knows I've been there basically since before day one. I've been there since second one, basically, in terms of how that works. But yeah, and then I started April 2020 is when I kind of stepped fully into like the Twitch world, I guess. I started with watching Fendler, Maze GC, Silent Ninja, Retro Yimmy. Those type of guys were kind of the first four I kind of ran into. And then I think I went into your chat at some point during that first month or two I was there too. It was very short, I think, because I think Maze either rated you or you were rating Maze. It was one or the other. And so, yeah, I remember being in your chats since April, May, something along those lines. And I got into streaming when I was seeing like people like Fendler and all these other guys were growing quite quickly and were finding a lot of success, and I'm like, well, I can probably do this too. It's just talking to people while I play games, and like I'd pay more attention to chat than the game if I could pause it, But stuff like Elden Ring obviously is a big thing nowadays. That one you can't really like just sit there and pay all your attention to chat because that's the quickest way you can die in those games. So I've tried to keep mine more to those ones that I could pause, so that if I feel like there's something I need to address in chat more so than just keeping up with it, because I do a pretty good job of that most of the time, I can, Yeah,
right, exactly.
Okay, so who would you say is influential to you in terms of keeping the streaming going? I mean, obviously, a lot of it has to be a conscience type of thing, where you're like, okay, yeah, self-motivating. But I feel like there's always that one, like maybe that one voice that does kind of help you out a little bit when you need a little bit extra. Is there anybody in the community that you feel like would personify that like extra voice?
A little bit as a whole, just each and every person in the way that they work, because like not in the sense of like, and I feel like people like really get maybe this feeling confused sometimes, even with themselves. But everybody else working so hard and doing so well automatically motivates me to want to continue doing what I'm doing and try to not beat them, but just be around and continue to be relevant. And guys like Adam and Fend and Fritzy and the list goes on. I'm sure you know.
Yeah, the list is very long for sure.
Yeah. Seeing them do well makes me smile and definitely motivates me. But if there was one person that continues to do it to this day, is IMAV.
Oh, that's one I haven't heard it as an answer yet.
Yeah, he's not on Twitch too much though, but he's somebody I'm sure you know that's very big just in Madden in general, right?
Yeah.
And I just saw him like similar to myself, kind of played sports when he was in high school, but things kind of got led astray at some point or another. Had younger siblings.
Yeah.
Household might not have been in the craziest or the best spot at some points, but one thing he did was try to work hard and stayed with the Lord, stayed with the God or the higher powers that be. I don't try to throw religion on anybody, but
yeah, I don't try to talk too much about that either, knowing how people are.
It was just everything, well, him, but just about IMAV specifically, just how he operated, and even through the darkest of times, he continued to stay strong. So he's been that person for me ever since, and the fact that he's still doing what he's doing, even though I may not talk to him ever, or even as much, these days, even though I have a few times, thankfully, too. But, to see him doing it now 20 years later, or I guess at least 15, it shows that you can do this stuff at whatever level you want. You just gotta work hard.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Okay, so you've been streaming for quite a while, obviously. Years now.
Yeah.
Is there, like, I'm going to say, normally I ask people, like, for their top 3 in this specific category, but since you've been around twice as long as most people I've interviewed, I've got to say, like, top 5 or 6 now. There are moments as a streamer that you remember no matter how long it's been since then. What would you say are your top 5 or 6 moments on Twitch, whether it be the rage you've received and stuff like that? I'm going to say you can't mention partnership or affiliate because that's an easy, 2 answers. But what, like, somebody who followed you, maybe rage you caught that you weren't expecting, what are your top 5 or 6 of those type of things?
Yeah. Ooh. It may get harder as we go, but...
Let's start with 6.
In no order, though. In no order. Just like a random 5. But to start off was... And I was really upset, too, because, like, I don't like anybody, like, letting anybody down or, like, doing anything wrong. Like, I just really get upset at that.
Makes sense.
So there was one time, it was early on in Madden Live. It was the second month that I got to do it. But I'd missed a day, and I think I overslept because I had practice and in class in between. So there was a lot going on, and I just happened to oversleep. So, but this was actually it was right before they were announcing the Christmas promo, right?
Yeah.
So Gabby and all the great people that were doing Kralo and all the people that were doing things for Madden Live at that time, they got together and was like, you know what, man. We see that you were and they didn't have to do that either. It's just it was a random day that they just noticed that they didn't have anybody, or there was just a random time slot not there. So they were like, you know what? After we do this special stream for the revealing all the cards, right? We love that stream every year.
Yeah.
They were like, we'll raid you. And you and I know, K-Couch, those streams get crazy. It's 20,000, 30,000. It's something.
Absolutely. That's those ones are always, I think, the toughest for any streamer, no matter how long they've been doing it to catch those. Just because of how many people you have to try to entertain all at once, and then that's when chat just becomes a nightmare to keep up with.
Yeah, but that was probably one that I could highlight the most, or like the easiest, because that was the most amount of viewers I've ever seen on my channel ever. So that was a huge blessing, and I never take those days or those streams for granted. Like I try to talk to as many people as I can during that time, say hi, hello. The chat's going crazy fast, but like a lot of the guys now, like that's a big thing, is people just want you to acknowledge them. So that was number one for sure.
For sure, okay.
was a sad moment.
Go on.
But a little bit of a happy moment, too. Not happy, but like,
It's a mixed feelings moment, I think, is what you're searching for.
yeah. Like,
bittersweet.
comforting. Yeah.
Alright, go on.
It was literally the day after, or before, the situation in Jacksonville happened.
Okay.
Even then, at that time, I was streaming almost every day, so it was a weird day for me to not stream, you know? So I got on at, a normal time that I normally got on, and I just cried. I cried in front of 200 people for whatever, because, people were sad, and people knew that I was supposed to be there. So I was sad not only for the lives lost, but for my, friends and all the people that we know now that were there that day. I was just really upset that day, but it kind of came full circle, and seeing how, everybody felt the same way, but at the same time helped me get through it. And just because I didn't, I went to work or whatever. I was stunned while I was at work, and I found out then, and I was shaking the whole day. I really didn't know what to do.
Makes sense. That's definitely a sensation that a lot of people could probably feel for. Like for example, anytime like a top level celebrity died, I'm pretty sure there are people who had that reaction. Like say Stan Lee is a good example. When that happened, I'm sure a lot of people were shaken up about that and probably couldn't really cover up that type of feeling they had.
But it was just it was nice to see. Everybody knew. Just was grieving at the same time, so I think it was nice for everybody in that moment, not only for myself and everything, but just that's something I probably won't ever forget. I won't ever forget those guys.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that. So luckily, real quick update before you move to your next guy, or the next moment, I actually finally got this account logged into on my other device, so I can actually send a raid today. I was kind of worried I couldn't, and now I can. So.
Hey, that's what's up.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna have to check this out real quick. I actually think it might drop because I had to change my password to get in. So if we take a slight pause, that's probably why. But I think it just dropped my thing here. It says it can't connect to server, so I don't even know if I'm still live or not. Said I was live for a second.
Jeez.
Am I still live though? Is it saying I'm live? I don't know. I'll be irritated if I'm not live anymore. Okay, it says I'm live, I'm just not connected to the thing. So, can you hop in chat real quick to make sure I'm actually still here?
Yeah, like the main one, right? Like that you're doing the CFP one?
The K Couchington 1231. Make sure that I'm still live, and you might have to keep track of a chat for me too.
Yeah, of course.
Because it looks like I'm still live, but I don't know. Because if you look at the screen, okay, because you see the thing on the screen too. Cannot display comments. Okay, so you just keep track of chat for me. If anybody mentions my name or anything like that, just read back what they said so I can answer them.
Of course.
Okay, so let's move on to number 4 now. Or number 3, depending on which route you go.
So number 3, this was another big, growth moment. I wish I would have went in order, but, this was, Jesus, Madden 19.
Ooh, okay, a little more recent.
Madden 19. First week of the game. Can't remember the exact day in August, but, Problem Right hosts me, or rates me. Maybe it was 2018. Can't.
You're like, I cannot remember.
Madden 19. It was Madden 19. It was right before all the Madden Live stuff had happened.
All right.
And I never forget it because, I never really got to talk to any of these guys before W, I think, had won at that time. I met W prior to him winning his belt and stuff at tournaments. I got to play against him and all that. But it wasn't, I never really, got to have conversation or anything like that with any of these guys. But then, when Problem rated me, it was at that point I knew I was like, dang, okay, I've done something here. Somebody has recognized, the effort that I put in at that time. It was over a year and a half maybe. But
yeah.
He didn't say anything. The one thing that he did say in chat was, I didn't, I saw you working hard all summer long, in all those hours. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I was like, wow, okay. A comment like that definitely hit home because not once that summer did he type in my chat. Not once that summer did I. And I don't really look at the viewer list that much, so that wasn't really a problem. But the times I did, I didn't see his name. So, but for him to even notice that at all shows that okay, people are looking, are looking at you, whether you know it or not. So always try to be on your A game, be on top. That was definitely something to this day that, that's why I kind of stream all these crazy hours and stream every day, because of somebody like him that helped me back then.
Okay, that I can feel definitely. When you have someone who's like that big of an influence or that big of a person, I guess, in terms of just in general, it's definitely something that you'll hold on to for a while, and most, including yourself, will probably hold on to it until the day you just decide you're done streaming. So,
yeah.
Which hopefully that's not anytime soon, but
Right.
All right, so yeah, I like that story. That's a good one. Okay, let's hear about your fourth.
The fourth one is maybe something easy and quick. The first time I ever did a subathon.
Oh, those are always special, I think. Even as a viewer, those are very fun, but I think as a streamer, they're even more fun. Just ask Fendler, who had that just ask
just participated.
Just ask Fendler, who's had that 41 or whatever day one. Those things are fun.
Insane.
I mean, that guy is the definition of a grinder into the successfulness they've gotten to. He's definitely a good example of that.
For sure, 100%. 100%.
Okay, but tell me about that subathon, because obviously you've been around quite a while, and I'm assuming that was a little bit earlier than the last couple years.
No, it was almost a year ago.
Oh, it was a year ago.
April. Yeah, it was only
April.
A year ago.
Okay, I must have missed that then.
It's all good. It's all good. It wasn't too long. I kind of almost begged to end it because at the time,
Give me 1 second, DK. You keep. When you're done with this one, go ahead and go to your next one. I gotta go deal with something real quick.
Yeah. Wait. Hold on. Maybe I'm confused.
All right, we're good.
Okay. No. I was unsure what you had said.
The door had popped open, and I have a cat that likes to sprint out open doors, so.
Oh, jeez.
So I had to go close that before she decided, oh, look, there's an open door, and sprinted out. Alright, so you did the subathon, and was there a certain, I don't know the way, a theme around it? Or was it just a normal, everyday type of subathon?
It was just, no, there was no, like, specific theme. There was, it's goals and whatnot, and punishments that were fun, like the one-chip challenge.
Oh, yeah, that was a craze around that time, too, so...
Yes, that was... Man.
I actually bought a 2-pack of them, the 2-player one.
Oh, boy.
And one of my things was on my main account before it decided to not allow me to stream on that one again, was if I hit like 200 or 300, I'd get my dad on stream with me and we both have one of the chips. But unfortunately that never transpired, so... But I've seen enough reactions to know it's definitely probably more fun to watch than actually be the one eating it.
Oh, yes, 100%. 100%. It is the worst afterwards.
So you had the one chip challenge, but what other punishments were there?
Yeah, the death nut challenge. Those were like more like as I got up. I had to do push-ups as well, like 100 or I had to do 100 push-ups, 150, something like that.
Nice.
Giveaways was in between that. And then I just had to do another 24-hour stream right after that. So that was nice.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure that was wild.
Yeah, we got up to, though.
You're just like lucky, because I'm sure there was a couple of other things near the back end of it that would have sucked if you would have hit those, but also would have been great because obviously it's the support of the channel. So.
Right.
That's what I think the funniest thing about subathons is it's all like the support goals and all that stuff, but at the same time when you put punishments in there, you're like, crap, they hit that goal and now I have to do that? Damn.
Yeah, that's the thought process right there. The exact thought.
You're like, yes, we hit 200. Crap, we have to eat the fucking death chip now.
Right.
Yeah, those are always fun to watch. There's obviously some that are more, giveaways and all that stuff oriented, and there's ones that are more punishments, and then there's ones that are kind of a mixture of both. So yours was more of a mixture of both.
Right, exactly.
The game that we're actually watching right now, we just scored a field goal, and we're up by 3, but they're not far from field goal range, so let's see what happens here. And while we watch what happens, what would you say your fifth now highlight moment would be?
For the fifth, I guess to go with like something that was competitive. It was, oh wow, that is a great moment. I'm glad I thought about this one.
Ooh, I think you must have caught a really good one if that's your reaction to it.
Yeah, no, because I K-Couch, everybody, most of the streamers and content creators, and maybe some viewers, think of me as a pro player or like, of that level. I haven't done much, man. I haven't really done too much crazy in these tournaments. But the one time I got really, really, really close to a lot of it. It was one game away, actually. I was one game away.
How long ago was that?
This was Madden 17.
Ooh, so that was quite a bit ago.
Madden 18, sorry. Club
Madden
Championships,
18.
Madden 18 for the Ravens.
Ooh, that's Club Championship with the Ravens, huh? And that was 2018. Was that Lamar's rookie season?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm assuming you were using Lamar and not Joe Flacco, though.
No, it wasn't even like a regular team. It was like Ultimate Team, but salary cap actually. That was
okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. So, we had to stream our games, or not that we even had to. Not that I don't think we even had to. But the first game of that, so it was like a 2-day tournament, and the first day, my very first game, the person that I actually ended up playing first works, and I don't know if you know him too well or know of his name, but it was Chaos.
Chaos, huh?
He's really good friends with Throne. So he was like a YouTube guy, kinda. He kinda shifted to being a YouTube guy. He used to be a streamer, but he was a good pro player. He actually played Division I basketball at Maryland.
Nice.
Currently coaches at a Division I school too, or assistant coaches actually right now. So he's a busy
Solid.
dude. He's a
Solid.
busy guy. But he was he had like 1,000 viewers at the time of us playing. And I ended up beating him in the first game. And I ended up going 3-0 that day, and I ended up getting a bye. And if I just won my next game, I go on to the live event. So the next day happens, and between me and him, both streams, we ended up with like a couple of thousand people in it. And at the time, that was a lot. You know, Twitch was still like kind of growing at the time. Fortnite was kind of in the phase of growing, so.
Oh, so that was like the infancy. That was like the infancy of Twitch then.
Of its like crazy growth period.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
All right, I see that. Okay.
So it was. So I think that in it, maybe to this day, that might have been the most genuine viewers I've ever had in a stream before, without getting rated or anything, or without like a YouTube Madden. I mean, not YouTube, but a Madden live stream, anything. It was like 800 or 900 people or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's a wild number.
So it was a little bit. I was a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie, a lot bit nervous.
Well, I've seen that one that Fendler got from, I think it was Dubby or something like that. That was like 300, and he went absolutely apeshit for that. I couldn't imagine what 3 times the number would have been like at that, at that stage where he was at the time.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even a raid. It was, he had 1,000 and I had like 800 or 700. So we both like combined had like about 2,000 people watching our one game.
Well, that's like Evo. I think you know Evo, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember, I think it was one of his last streams. He doesn't really look at his number that often, and when he was shipping the raid out, I think it said like there was like 50 people in there or something like that. He's like, no shot there's 50 people in here. And that's what's crazy, because I don't even think he actually caught like an actual raid. Like, I did my, one viewer raid thing when I'm bored and just like to see people's raid alerts, and that was about it. So when you bring in like any number larger than like, I'd say when you bring in like double what you're used to and it's all genuine, that's when you're like, oh, this is actually growing up quite fast.
Yeah.
I think the most genuine ones I've had was maybe 10 to 15. But the most viewers I've had in the channel at once was when I was doing the community awards for the first time. And I think it was either Vose or Goat Geezy. I think they shipped like 150 people over. And I believe about half of them stayed for the remainder of the time the show went on for. And then I think we hit another guy I was trying to help out on that day to help his numbers right after we ended it. So yeah, that was definitely one of my top moments when we're talking about like to be on topic here. That's got to be one of my top ones too.
That's what's up. That's awesome.
And the thing is, I wasn't like, you know how some people go in and say like, oh, something's big's coming, and they kind of tease what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything like that happen, and I was in zero way expecting anyone to raid for that. I was expecting people to just pop in and out as the stream went. But I'm happy he did, because now I have like a little thing I can hang my hat on when it comes to streaming. So.
Exactly. That's what's up. That's what matters.
So, with you being a partner streamer, and with when you end your streams off, right? Obviously, everyone ships raids off when they are done. They ship it off to whoever, right? Is there any specific like things you look for, like rather it be people with less viewers, maybe there's someone trying to hit affiliate? Like, is there any like specific things you look for in somebody when you raid them?
Yeah. first and foremost, and I guess when we're talking about maybe somebody new,
Yeah.
gotta have a face cam. For me personally, if I don't know who you are, and I feel like that's a pretty fair answer and maybe a common
Most
one.
definitely, because like anyone who raids me right now, they're people who have known me for 2 years now, so they know what I look like. They know what my situation is right now. So they're not like, oh, you have to have a face cam. Like Fend would probably raid me even without a face cam right now if he was live, because he knows who I am and he knows that I can hold people in chat too. I feel like that's I don't know if you were going to say that, but that would be one of the things that I try to do is I find people with a face cam, lower viewership, and if I know for a fact they can hold people in their chat. That's what I look for.
Exactly.
Because I think we all agree, when it comes to rating people, you are trusting who you're rating with your people. And you trust them to keep your people entertained when you ship the raid off. Because obviously, I don't know about you, but I ship a raid off, I stick around for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then I start doing my Twitch rounds afterwards. And, that 5 to 10 minutes I sit there, if I don't stay there for that entire time frame, then obviously I made a mistake in rating you, and I probably shouldn't have, because you couldn't keep me entertained for my normal time frame, so...
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think that's probably the most important thing for anybody who raids somebody is just knowing that you're handing people over to them and you're trusting them, and you get one go at it. Once you've raided somebody once, if they don't hold your people, you never raid them again. If they hold your people, you put them on your list of people that are reliable to hit with a raid.
Exactly. That's you hit that right on the money, to be honest.
I think Fed was talking about it 2 weeks ago, maybe 3. But he mentioned he went into somebody's chat and they weren't talking, they weren't doing nothing. They had the face cam, I think, but they weren't saying nothing. And he was going to ship the raid to him, and then he was like, hard pass. And he went to somebody else instead. And that's the thing with streaming, though. You have to have the ability to talk while you're playing, because nobody wants to sit there like, if I wasn't talking to you right now, nobody would want to sit here and watch this,
Exactly.
Like, this is something they could just do, without having to go into Twitch. They can start up Madden, go to a franchise, go to Slow Sim, and just do this themselves.
Exactly. You gotta be different. You gotta...
Yeah, and that's why, the podcast for, me, Murphy D, Fendler, the people who have made these podcasts, I feel like that's why I made mine, is because I wanted to do something a little bit different. And I know, a few of the people I've invited on have been on, Fendler's podcast. I think you were on there at one point.
Yep.
But I know with the growth of Twitch, from when you were on there to now, you've had some new people. And all my people might not know you either, so that's why, if I end up asking, the same question maybe he asked you when you were on his, it's this is either to refresh older people's memories that are in the channel, or it's to give new information to the new people.
Exactly.
And that's why, I don't shy away from asking anyone to be on here. I've tried not to ask people that I know for a fact are super busy. I haven't asked Fendler yet, because I know he's a pretty busy guy on and off his Twitch streets, so to speak.
Yeah.
But when I asked you the other day, I was actually surprised you said yes, because I know you're a pretty active person around Twitch. So, but I've also known you long enough to where I knew if I pitched a question out, there was a chance you were going to say yes. And that's one of the ways I kind of try to figure out who I want to invite on, is one who I think isn't going to be massively busy and who I'm not taking too much time out of their day to bring in, but also those that I feel like have the highest probability of saying, yeah, I'll be on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, so, you look for face cams, people who are entertaining, and people that are basically different, right? Is how you determine your raid targets?
Yeah, and then but then they kind of hit what you were saying though. When it comes to like maybe helping people hitting certain goals, or when it comes to affiliate. Yeah, I've actually, and I don't like to brag or about that type of stuff, but that kind of.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you real quick there. I don't feel like it's bragging per se. I feel like if you're going to mention some people that you've helped push over the edge of affiliate mark or whatever it may be, that's not something I would consider like a flex or whatever people use these days in terms of like wording. I feel like that's more pointing out that you help others in the community and you're able to get some people to hit their goals. Because I mean, I'll be honest, I helped Big Evo with his last push. I helped X Ammo with his last push to get affiliated, and I bring those guys up when we talk. Like, those are some of the highlights of my like own Twitch thing, is helping people like those two get to affiliate. Because I like being part. I like to think that I've been part, a small part, mind you, of their overall success. Like, out of 100%, I'm like 0.1% of why they're where they're at. You know?
Exactly. That's you. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. But yeah, thank you, thank you.
But I had to make sure you subtracted that part of what you were saying, because that's inaccurate in my opinion to say.
No, I'm probably gonna follow up with that, but you kind of beat me to it. You put it into the right words.
You ever see that commercial with the fisherman and like the dollar or the trophy or whatever, and then you gotta be quicker than that? That's kind of the situation that just happened right now. No, I don't let any of the people that I've watched for any extended period of time use any like negative verbiage like that without interrupting them and making them subtract that. So.
No, that's fair. That is fair. That is fair.
Like Fendler, I don't know if you were part of his space a month or two ago, but he was chatting about.
During the subathon, right?
Yeah, I think it was during the subathon. It might have been after the subathon, but during one of them, I remember him mentioning that he was lucky, he was in the position or whatever, right? And I remember my exact response to him, and I said I had a bone to pick with him because of his response. I said, you can use luck, skill, whatever, verbiage some people use when they talk about how they got to where they're at. But I told him he had all the tools to keep the people in there, since most of us were there day one, And that's not skill, that's not luck, that's you being genuine with the people who are following you. And that, I feel like that's the, good answer for just about everyone in the community. Like, if Up and Adam wasn't the way he is, people wouldn't stick around. If Luch wasn't the way he is, same difference. Same with you. People choose to follow you, or if people say raid you, right? They're sending the people to you. It's your job to keep their asses in the seats, and that's what Fendler's been able to do consistently for the last 2 years, is keep people in their seats when they've got there, and to genuinely connect with basically everyone he comes across.
Exactly. That's our job. And that's our job.
It's the one thing that I've had almost everyone on this show say. If you're not genuine, you're not going to make it.
You're just,
now,
you can. It's just not going to last.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. It's not that you can't make it, it's that you can make it, and then once you can't fake it anymore, then you lose it.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm glad, like, when, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this last year to you. I remember mentioning how I constantly was trying to get streams figured out, and then those streams would, like, not happen because of whatever, and that was one of the things that I remember too, is even when I wasn't able to do my streams, I would make sure to tell everyone exactly what was going on. Because I feel like when I don't stream and I say I do, I'm letting myself down, but I'm letting everyone else down at the same time. So that's a little insight into how my, morals or how my how I think of things works when it comes to streaming.
Exactly. No, 100%. And I couldn't agree more with you.
That's like, I don't know if you've ever actually had this type of situation, but if you were to say, I'm booting up at 4 p.m. Eastern, and you don't boot up at 4 p.m. Eastern, and you can't boot up until later, or you can't boot up at all that day, I think I think you and I would probably, just from how long I've known you, would probably feel the same exact way about it. Just, I promised them this, and then now I didn't do it, and I gotta tell them what's up. And I feel like that's almost every streamer in this community will probably agree with that statement as well.
Yeah. And then I instantly have a shitty day because of it.
Exactly, because if you do not, and honestly this is just obviously my standpoint, but if you don't feel bad after those type of things, and you don't mention why, I feel like you as a streamer almost lose some credibility, because that shows that you were okay with missing that day without any explanation, right? Especially say you're on a set schedule and then you don't stream. Like Fendler's a good example. Any day he's not going to stream, he's like, yo, I'm not streaming this day. This is why. And I'll see you guys on this day. I feel like if you do that, that helps you genuinely connect with people even more, because you're honest with what's going on, basically.
Hey, and Wingman said, what's going on? What's going on,
Ooh, who's that?
Exactly. Wingman.
Oh, hey, Wingman. How you doing, man? Nice to see you. As you can see on screen, I actually don't have comments actually live to me, so DK is going to keep track of my my comments for me, and hopefully not too many people ask me questions directly, because that'll throw off a bit of the flow here of what's going on. But how you doing, Wingman? Hey, Alex. I was able to see that one because I actually was I had to pull up my browser to see what you had said because I didn't hear it. But yeah, I can kind of see it on my browser, but with my glasses off I have to zoom in so I can't see the video to make sure it's still coming through. So yeah, I keep it zoomed out for now. Either way, though, I'll hopefully be able to figure out if this can't connect to comments thing is because of my password having to be changed. I think that's what it is.
Awesome.
Anyway, let's talk Madden for a second. Madden the last, say, 2-3 years has gotten a lot of backlash for a lot of things, right? Obviously this year, one of the bigger talking points is the fact that the MUT team has had to kind of recycle players. Or has recycled certain players multiple times when they could have used those slots for cards that other players might actually need, right? Now, we've heard all the criticisms about the games.
Yeah.
We've heard just about every streamer mention them to some degree.
Right.
So my question to you is, can you list me 3 things that Madden's doing correct right now?
Oh, yeah. In comparison to all the other years, the diversity of the content, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
What I mean by that is, some of the things I didn't expect in terms of their content and what they did. And for me, somebody who's been playing the game for Ultimate Team for almost a decade, it's coming up on 8 years now, or 9, would be next year.
Uh-huh.
I've seen a lot of stuff, and even in years past, I kind of knew, we're getting this promo, and this is how they're going to do it in this many parts. And it's and then we see some of the same guys in those same promos. It's I'm kind of sick of this. It's the 3rd time I've seen seen this guy in this promo as long as I've been playing Madden, or fourth or fifth time sometimes.
Yeah.
For me personally, so it's like, it's nice to see this year. Maybe that's because it's just the turnover of players in the NFL and all of that type of stuff. It was nice to see different stuff like the baller thing. Could it, like, is that a little wacky and wild having, so many out of position guys? Maybe,
but in my opinion, that actually adds even more fun to the game.
So that's how I feel about it.
I mean, come on, you have Aaron Donald at fucking fullback. Who would have thought about that, right?
Right, like, have a little bit of fun to it, and maybe some of these guys actually did play, different positions. So that makes it cool,
Yeah. Like, I think Stephon Gilmore actually did play quarterback at some point in his football career, so...
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they did some research, and maybe in Pee Wee football, Aaron Donald played fullback, and they're like, okay, let's give him a fullback card.
Vita Vea played running back in high school. They made him switch to defensive line. He had no choice, but he was really good at running back.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the promos that I definitely feel like was one of the better ones in terms of just adding a fun element to the game this year. And I spoke about the repeating cards thing, and the only week that this really kind of frustrated me was the week where Taylor got that 93, I think it was. And it was the same week Austin Eckler had 4 touchdowns, and his highest card was like an 86 or 87. So I'm like, why not give Austin Eckler the 90 card and give Taylor like a +1 or something,
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, they definitely did that a lot, at a lot of points this year.
Yeah, and that's one of the more annoying parts of it. But now, away from the MUT side of things, I don't know. I think you do play franchise mode.
Yeah.
To some degree. What do you think of the revamped franchise mode for this season? Obviously, they still have to make some tweaks, but what have been the positives about this revamped franchise mode for you?
Yeah, one thing I will say is, and I'm kind of upset that I haven't gotten to this point of it. I just haven't, dived too deep into aspects like this. But it's the recruiting process. What I will say is I'm glad that they added it, and I'm sure it does add an element to it if you dig deep and really, franchise mature mode. I'm sure that there's something that, that makes that what they added really, really cool. But me personally, things that they've added that I noticed that I like a lot is the coaching tree stuff and like those upgrades and the way that different coaches give different, stuff. And you get to choose the path, if you get the ability points and, you do the things that you're supposed to do throughout the season to get those points. That's something that I thought was really, really cool that they added.
I definitely agree with that. Especially, I don't know if you watched him, but Mr. Hurricane on YouTube.
Yeah.
He does. I like his franchise rebuilds even more now because he gets to do the deep dives and the scouting. And the other thing that I think you might have been about to bring up was the training being a lot more in depth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in years past, it was just like, okay, here, train your players, and you can either play them or sim them, and it just gives you the bare minimum, like, these guys got XP. Whereas this one is, these guys got XP, but these guys got injured, so when the injuries happen, then that makes you have to think, okay, do I have the depth on the team already? Do I got to go trade for somebody? Do I got to go sign somebody? And that's kind of that adds another full element to the game that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
So you, deep dive-wise, have not done much on the franchise side of things. But, we explained a little bit about MUT, we explained a little bit about franchise mode. But what are your thoughts on, like, the extra modes? Like the, you know what I'm talking about, those modes that are extra, that, a lot of those I don't think we've had before. So what do you think of those extra, like, play types, so to speak?
In terms of...
Like the superstar KO of this, Madden. Basically.
Yeah. They were cool and all. I wonder if it's... Because I've actually kind of looked up videos thoughts on like the whole 2K stuff and what they decide to do or what they can and their limitations and all that. I wonder if it was like a little bit of a ploy to get ahead on the competition, because as we know, 2K can't make any simulation style games yet. But what they can do is make something like a NFL Street, like back in the day.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what we have with VR, right? With the aspect of, like, you know, it's kind of street football, like, and the moves and everything like that. So I think that it was just a get-ahead move, but I'm not really too much of a fan of any of it. I like that they added it, and it's for maybe some people that don't like, you know, the 11-on-11 football and all that type of stuff. If that's more the type of football they like to play. I'm glad that EA did something for that, you know, crowd. Same with Superstar KO, in letting people understand abilities and the X factors without having to go into mud and do all the stuff, because maybe people don't understand that, and that's, you know, an easier way for people to get to know the game. I get that 100%. But as time goes on, those modes become less relevant to people who understand a little bit what's going on, and they'll move on to a franchise or to, you know, they'll go all the way into Ultimate Team. So those modes don't kind of last as much, and then they made it worse for the modes like the mud draft and the salary cap stuff. They didn't even give people an incentive to play those anymore, or took incentives away. So I'm kind of sad about that too. So other than like the big modes and Ultimate Team as a whole, and then franchise and what they added, they didn't seem to care about anything else about the game that they did once before.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the more talked about points for sure of this current Madden. I know in Next Gen they have that momentum meter at the top.
Yep.
It kind of annoys me that they only gave that to Next Gen.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
Like me playing on current gen, I kind of know when the, you know, momentum is shifted at some point or another. But it would be nice to have the visual for, you know, those of us that weren't able to snag a PS5, you know?
Exactly.
But moving on here to the next topic, let's chat a little bit about free agency.
Okay.
So I'm just going to start from the top, and we're going to make our way down. So, thoughts on the Russell Wilson trade?
Good trade for both, despite what maybe people say or think.
Okay, for those that don't understand, explain why.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit of an optimist, so maybe that's just where I stand with things, but I feel like we all, as football fans, can honestly see what was going on in Seattle, and let's just go with negative vibes that was going on between Russell Wilson and the organization, and them not winning and all that. Something had to be going on. So for them to be able to move on and get something out of Russell Wilson, and then for him to be able to go to a team that maybe they might not win, but they have a little bit better chance than where he was, and they have a better chance with him. So, kind of worked out for both parties in that way.
I definitely agree. And the other side of things that I talk about is, Denver had to give up a lot. But keep in mind, these guys haven't had a good quarterback since Peyton Manning retired.
And that was almost a decade ago.
So they gave up a lot, but at the same time, they gave up what they thought was necessary. Sounds like Watson has read his trade clause and is going to Atlanta. We will see, but I think it's happening. Ooh, that's interesting.
Awesome.
I mean, if Watson goes to Atlanta, you would assume that the Texans might ask for Matt Ryan as part of the trade deal. Or maybe they add other pieces and they roll with Mills for another season.
That's, if I was the GM of the Texans, that's what I would do.
Mills didn't look bad either, to be fair. Mills did not look that bad.
No, some people would say otherwise, but I personally, call me crazy, I liked him better than my quarterback. He looked very good last season.
And DK, just to clarify, you're a Miami fan, correct?
No, Jaguars.
Oh, Jags. I thought you were Miami for some reason.
Nah, Florida though.
It is in Florida, so I was close. So your guys it's currently Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Yes.
I remember the hype around Trevor Lawrence.
Yes, I know.
Okay, the way I explain it, and yes, it's a little bit of a joke, but I think you'll laugh at it. Trevor Lawrence is the anti-Justin Herbert.
Oh, come on.
Herbert had none of the expectations and highly succeeded, and then it was vice versa for Trevor Lawrence. He had all the expectations and was not able to do much with it. Now, hold on. Now, to be fair, he is on the Jags, and you guys kind of blew up a lot of your pieces already. So yes, I'll give him 2 more years actually. Because y'all are actually making the proper steps to build around him right now. And I think in 2 years you guys have a solid enough team around him to where you guys can definitely compete for the division, but I think it's going to be 1 more year of just what the hell is going on from the organization. Though
it might seem that way, but if we can get
though
7 wins, I'll be very happy.
To be fair, your division is a new NFC East. It's a very much a pretty open division.
No more Julio for the Titans. The Colts.
Mind you, you still have to worry about Derrick Henry chucking your players into the stands, but...
I mean, we stopped them, though.
You did stop him, didn't you? You guys were, I think, one of the few teams that did stop him. Before his injury, obviously.
Yeah.
His injury stopped him, like floored him, but one of the teams that actually stopped his actual ability to run the ball.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to see improvements. That's it.
So
I feel like, or at least with my particular team, and maybe I'm seeing it from a Madden perspective, and maybe I'm just being silly, but last year we picked up the same amount of guys, like player-wise, K-Couch, it was like 6 or 7, 8 players. We had just the same amount of money, if not more. And the only 2 players that anybody would know, K-Couch, would be Shaq Griffin and Marvin Jones.
Yeah, and that's shocking to me, considering how much money you guys had.
Yes, and it was the same. It was about 200, 300. It was like $230-something million we spent.
Yeah.
But nobody said anything then, and we were trash. But when Christian Kirk gets a $17 million a year contract, everybody wants to say something. But at least it's Christian Kirk and not Joe Schmo that got $10 million for no reason. So
that's fair. I can see that. See, what I think is funny though is he's getting paid per year, mind you, as of now, 17 whatever mil it is. He's still getting paid less than Mike Williams is. So the Jags at least, Mike Williams is getting 20 mil a season, basically.
3 years, right?
For 3 years. So in terms of per year, he's making more, and I feel like that's kind of the aspect that a lot of people didn't look at. Christian Kirk got a bigger contract than Williams, but he's getting less per year than Williams is. So at least, in terms of your organization, at least you guys didn't sign him like he was Devontae Adams or something, give him 40 mil a season or something stupid like that, right?
Yeah, and he's not a big body receiver, so there's no potential that he can. I don't know. I don't want to down the short guys, but normally it's the deep threat, big play receivers, and Mike Williams. And I hate to say it because he's on my team right now, but I think he has a lot more potential than Christian Kirk. So I think it's fair that he got
And also to toss it out there, Christian Kirk has never got a 1,000-yard season.
1,000 yards, Mike has, right?
Yeah, Mike I think had one last year, and I think he had one during that last playoff run we had too. I think.
It was very well. He had maybe close
So,
very good season.
one question I have for you, because this is your team, and I haven't found any other Jags fan to ask about this. Thoughts on releasing Miles Jack?
I didn't mind it. I did not
Ooh.
mind it.
Okay, explain why, because I'm sure a lot of people would like to know that.
Yeah, no, and this is what's so... I don't know if it's... I'm sad. Let's go with sad. When people, talk mess or about certain moves, but people got to understand the dynamic. We have Josh Allen, right?
Yeah.
With 4 linebackers. We drafted Chase on. I don't know. He was a big name at LSU.
Yeah, he was. I remember he was pretty good actually.
Right. We have him. And then I don't know if you know who Foyesade Olakun, the guy from the Falcons.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Didn't you guys just sign him too?
We just signed him.
Yeah.
So, and he led the league in tackles. He had double the amount of tackles that Miles Jack had last season. So,
Which is wild, by the way, considering the team he came from, right?
So what's the complaining going on about?
I feel like the reason why people complain is because with Miles Jack, you know what you're getting. And, let's compare this to, Brian Bulaga signing with the Chargers. We thought we were going to get an all-time right tackle, and instead he played maybe 15 games. And he didn't play particularly well in any of them, right?
Right. So then people were upset that, wow, you guys let go of Brian Bulaga?
See, and that's the thing. Half of us,
He didn't play well.
a lot of our fan base that I've seen, we all had the same standpoint. Cut Bulaga, man. The guy's not available. He could be the best right tackle in the league, but if he's only available 2 weeks a season, he's no good to us.
Exactly. And he was making so much money. We can't have that.
And actually, talking now, because we shifted over to the Chargers, I do want to ask you this question when it comes to the Chargers currently, their off-season thing. Do you think, because I've seen some people have the thought process that they haven't done enough on the defensive side of the ball to fix their problems, do you think the Chargers, with signing, Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, and then the 2 D tackles, do you think they've done enough to kind of cover up that, horrible run defense they had from last season and make it bounce back a little bit this year? I'm not saying top 10 in run defense or anything, but maybe go from worst to middle of the pack.
If anyone in this planet thinks that Charger team somehow got worse or stayed the same with the additions that you guys made this offseason, they gotta be losing their mind. They gotta be losing their mind.
And that's the thing. I needed to ask you about that.
Might be a top 5 defense on both sides of the ball next year.
Yeah, it takes talking to somebody who's not a Charger fan to say that view for people to actually get that it's not just us Charger fans. People outside of the organization that are cheering for other teams see the same thing we do, right?
Yeah.
And that's that analysis. I forgot the guy's name. But he was ranking the AFC West quarterbacks, and he had Herbert at the bottom. It's how do you have Herbert? I think it was either the bottom or the third best or something like that. I forgot exactly which one it was. But he basically has him the bottom half instead of the top half in terms of quarterback play. First off, he's better than Derek Carr. No one can even try to question that. He's better than Derek Carr. Russell Wilson, yeah, you can debate that, but Russell's also entering his year 30-something season in a new system, that he'll have to learn, and at the same time, he has to deal with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. And that's only who you have to deal with running at you. That's not even, talking about the secondary.
Right, exactly. To go back to your point of the run defense and everything, honestly, a lot of people don't talk about the aspects of what makes a good defense, and you asked about that, and maybe people would go to directly the O-line, not the O-line, the D-line, or maybe even the linebackers. But it starts with the secondary. If the secondary can hold the guys, Chris Harris, who maybe not had the best year last year for you guys, but we know that he's a proven defensive back in the league, and several time Pro Bowler and whatnot. And then you have Jason Jackson, who you guys just signed, Asante Samuel Jr., who, let's be honest, maybe sometimes would just happen to be in the right place at the right time last year. But he's, he has that NFL blood in him. He's played well to this point. Derwin James being tough.
Nasir Adderley is one of the most debatable players on this team in terms of, back and forth, ideas for him. I think, because people want to replace him, but I think he's solid enough as it is, because I actually don't have an answer to that.
2 years ago.
The thing is, he's one of the top safeties from 2 years ago. And keep in mind, most of the time he's been on a team, Derwin hasn't played opposite him because he's been out with injury. So he's had to play kind of a more or less aggressive safety role because he didn't have his partner in crime for most of his first 2 seasons. Now he had Derwin, and look at how he played when he had Derwin across from him. Because he didn't have to worry about both sides of the field or having to flip and flop. He knew Derwin can handle his side. And real quick, I'm going to read some of the comments here because I did pull my OG account up, and so I'm actually in chat now. Jordan Davis and you guys are set is what Ammo said about, I think, us, but it could have been about Miami. I don't know. Or it could have been about another team. I don't know because we talked about a couple of them now. And then Laserbeam said, Thunder and Lightning, very, very frightening. I'm assuming that's about Mac and Bosa. DK thinks Trevor Lawrence is a bust. You gonna let Alex besmirch your name like that, DK?
No, I don't think he's a bust. Maybe he hasn't.
I mean, you literally just defended him 10 minutes ago when I was mentioning the comparisons between him and Herbert and how they flipped. You were defending him on that, and I didn't even say Trevor was garbage or anything. I just compared them coming out of the draft. He didn't play well at all. He played.
Very good.
He almost looked like Mitch Trubisky out there.
Oh man.
About the Chargers for your defense. Okay, Ammo. That's fair. That's fair, Ammo. That's a fair point. And that's the thing. I don't think Trevor Lawrence failed because he wasn't ready. I think he failed because he was in probably one of the most dysfunctional teams in football last season.
That was in history.
In history, yeah, probably, arguably, if not for sure, in the history of the league, probably the most, very, very badly ran team in the NFL. You had your coach kicking your kicker in the back of the leg, for fuck's sake.
That was dumb. How we...
Mac Jones over Wilson and Lawrence. Right now, I can't debate that because Mac Wilson didn't play well. Trevor Lawrence didn't play well. Now, the Jets are eternally cursed. They're... and it doesn't matter who they get. They're going to probably be garbage, almost all the time. But with Lawrence, at least they have talent they're building around, and with a much less competent Blake Bortles, they were able to make the playoffs. I think with the right defense, Trevor Lawrence could lead them there too.
Agreed.
Pats are toast this season. They definitely are. And that's one thing I think that we are going to chat about when we're done with the rest of the free agency moves, is we're going to talk about that division because I feel like there's a lot of talking points that are in that division specifically over most other ones.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of already talked about the Khalil Mack thing, so we don't have to talk about him right now. So what are your thoughts now on the whole Aaron Rodgers dilemma? Or the whole, I guess, the disappointing conclusion to that saga.
Oh, man.
He figuratively held the team at gunpoint for the last, year. So...
I just thought it was a really weird way of going about things, and then I wonder what it was about Devontae Adams that had him hold out. You know, or maybe I don't know. Because, like, why wasn't there a deal done for him then?
Exactly.
He's got a deal done for Rodgers, and that was the whole reason why Rodgers came back in the first place, so why wasn't there... And I feel like there should have been some communication on the parties of Devontae Adams and the organization, like, hey, we're going to use this tag on you no matter what, whether he comes back or not. So,
and I feel like the franchise tag is like, I don't know, I don't like the franchise tag, to be honest. I don't like it. And the reason why is because Dak Prescott 2 years ago, he played on a franchise tag and, you know, basically tore his ankle off. And the only reason they re-signed him is they realized, oh shit, Dak's actually the reason why this team isn't complete and utter shit.
Exactly.
And I mean, if any of those quarterbacks played even like half or a little over half of how well Dak normally plays, they would have probably let him walk.
More than likely.
And that's why I think franchise tags I don't think should exist unless in like extreme circumstances. I feel like you should at minimum let your players test if you can't find a deal for them. And I feel like if you do that, then it's also the player's responsibility to keep in contact with their original team too, and have to hear both sides before making a decision.
Agreed.
Because like slapping the franchise tag, that forces them to stay there, and that maybe they don't want to stay there. And like, I feel like the only time I like franchise tags is for quarterbacks and middle linebackers. Because those are leaders of your team, and you're obviously not going to be able to replace those. But for players like wide receiver, they're a dime a dozen, obviously. And obviously, you're not going to get a wide receiver that's exactly like Devontae Adams day one. But like you have options to replace wide receivers, so why force one that doesn't want to be there to stay? And we're going to talk about another really controversial thing here in a second. But yeah, I feel like just in terms of that Aaron Rodgers situation, I just felt like it was a waste of everyone's time, right?
Yeah.
Because you had it was good TikTok and YouTube content for a lot of people because they got to post videos almost like every time something came up. But like for an average person that doesn't post content about that, it's like, I just sat through a year of this to just see him not go anywhere. No suspense or nothing. Not even I'm testing the open market and then he just ends up coming back. That would have been more fun than just, oh yeah, I'm re-signing. Like, come on, Aaron. You could do better than that. And Russell Wilson just threw a pick in the game. That was interesting. That was knocked high in the air, too. But Rodgers did not play well for us last game, as you can see. 1 interception, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. Not that great. But now for the controversial topic I was talking about. Deshaun Watson. You should have at least in some idea knew I was going to bring this up. We were talking football. It was inevitable. So I always had the standpoint, since the reports came out, that there's been a lot of coincidental things that just don't add up. And I'm not going to share my side right now. I want to hear your side. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like all of them might have been right, none of them were right, maybe there was only one true statement and everything else kind of just piled on top? Or was it all coincidental or just way too fishy for you?
I don't know, man. Because I feel like when you get more deep into it, I feel like it's got to be an all or nothing thing. Because, like, there's no... I feel like it'd be weird if it was, like, 1 or 2 people and then they decided to throw on 22. That's really weird activity. That's instant loss. Yeah, I feel like that would be an instant loss on the part of whatever party of 6, or if it was one person, whatever. I don't know why you would do something to another human being as vicious as that.
Yeah.
Of accusing them of 22 different times,
but on the
time,
I was about to say, but on the reverse side, because you said it was all or nothing, so.
Like it's. Exactly.
In my opinion, it's timing that was the first thing that made me feel like it was suspicious. Because what are the chances that your player says he doesn't want to return, and then all of a sudden all these accusations come out? All at once. And the lawyer represents all of them, also has a big connection with the owner of the team you say you don't want to play for anymore. That alone, I was like, okay, there's no way. There's no way he actually did any of these things.
Exactly, that's what makes it so...
Like, I'd understand if it was maybe one person, but why would you ruin a career of somebody who's leaving instead of waiting till he gets re-signed and then you go after him? See what I mean? It's like there's way too many, why the hell would this happen now, and it happened right around this time, and this guy knows this guy. To me, there was never a doubt in my mind Deshaun Watson was innocent of it. But the thing that I feel like put the final nail in the coffin for me is when he did not take a plea deal. If there was anything, if there was any factual evidence or anything that he feel like he did do wrong, why wouldn't he just take the plea deal?
Exactly.
So that kind of put the final nail in the coffin for me. That put even a sliver of doubt I might have had was put to bed after that.
That's fair. And that's fair right there. That's like just, again, putting the pieces together and coming to your own conclusion. It's like... Instead of being most people who just looked at the reports as black and white, female versus male, or in some racist circumstances, black versus white, instead, I saw it as a human being doesn't want to be somewhere, and then all of a sudden, all this shit just comes right on top of him. That ruined his market value. He could have been out last year, but Miami didn't want to take him because they thought he did something wrong. Like, they basically just stole a year of his career. Pretty much.
And, like, the AFC side stacked, and with Watson potentially going to Atlanta, that does help even it out a little bit.
It does.
Because NFC, right? You have Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Matt Stafford, Kyler Murray, and those are kind of the names you immediately think of when you think NFC. Now you add Watson to that. Now you have at least 5 capable quarterbacks in the NFL on that side. Because if you look at the AFC, we're completely stacked at quarterback.
We are.
Even like the worst quarterbacks, even like the guys in the mid-tier level, are still better than a good portion of the NFC quarterbacks.
This is true. You're speaking facts right now. You're speaking facts.
And I mean, come on, NFC, if Deshaun Watson goes there, before that, you almost know it's going to be Green Bay, Tampa, Cowboys, and for whatever reason, the last fucking division always, slides over my head, Rams. You know those 4 teams are 9 times out of 10 probably winning their divisions. And then you just have to worry about who's good enough to be in the wild card. Well, as of now, it would probably be Falcons if they pick up Watson, because I feel like with Watson that gives them a much better chance than Matt Ryan has the last couple seasons. I feel like one of the NFC East teams is going to sneak in, and probably the Cardinals. With the AFC side, you can't even begin to predict the playoff picture for that side.
It's so up in the air right now, it's crazy.
Because, I mean, come on, the AFC West, all 4 teams can make the playoffs. Will it happen? Probably not. But it could.
It could.
Same thing with the AFC North. Every one of those teams have a claim that they can make the playoffs right now.
Yep.
AFC West, same thing. the Bills and the Patriots, and arguably you can say the Jets or Miami. Well, Miami, not the Jets, but Miami could have a shot at, winning that division. And then there's the AFC South, where really it's the Titans or Colts at this moment, but, the Jags are building around. They could get there too. And that's what I think is more fun about watching AFC games, because every single win and loss for the AFC side is going to shake up that playoff picture. From week 1 to week 18, every game is going to matter. The NFC side, you're just like, okay, well, everything's basically going to be locked up by week 12. Maybe week 13.
Probably, yeah.
And I feel like that's why Watson going to another team, that's what really helps that kind of balance out a little bit. It throws a wrench into, does Tampa really just clean sweep that division? Or if Atlanta does enough, can they actually directly compete with them? Will the Saints continue to dominate Tampa in the normal season? Could happen. And yeah, Tom Brady came back, but he's not getting any younger. And all the players are coming back, but let's be honest, the players have been winning the games. Brady's been placing the ball where it needs to go, sure, but with that talent and with Brady on your team and him knowing how to get rid of the ball lightning quick, if you didn't win that division last season and the season before, or came close the season before, then there'd be a lot of questions. I feel like people are already writing off the entire NFC South right now because Brady came back. I feel like, if anything, you should be counting every team in, because now you have that extra motivation to knock Brady off of the top of that division. And I feel like just the not humble, but that's the best word for it. If you can humble Tampa Bay and keep somehow, knock them out of playoff contention or knock them out of the home field advantage, Brady without home field advantage has not played well.
It's not. You're right.
And so if you can knock them out of home field advantage, that takes probably half the mystique of Tom Brady being great in the playoffs completely off its axis. Because if you look at every single Super Bowl win the Patriots have had, almost every single one of them, they had home field advantage. And that's why, home field advantage has been a double-edged sword for everyone but Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Gets home field advantage, loses in the first round. Almost consistently. Chargers, a few times they've had it, lost first round. The Titans last year lost first round. That's one of the things with Brady. I hate Brady, as does 99% of the league. But I also respect the hell out of him being able to dominate the sport for 20 years. Especially in a salary cap league. Mind you, sometimes salary cap doesn't look like it exists half the time. But it is a salary cap league for all intents and purposes. And anyone that can dominate the league for that long with salary cap, with so many different moving pieces like Brady has, hate him, but you gotta respect the guy.
You just have to, man.
And I think, with the AFC West, right? I have my division rivals, but, I respect how well Carr plays most of the time, right? I respect Patrick Mahomes. I think every time we play him, I'm going to say kick his ass. He's garbage. He's shit. But I have to respect him because he has that talent.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like that connection between division rivals kind of only goes one way. Most Charger fans do respect the other teams in the division unless we're playing them that week. But the other guys in the division, the other fans in the division, most of them are just constantly shitting on the other team. And it's you do realize that, with the Raiders, you guys haven't done jack shit for 20 seasons.
Be happy that we're even...
Yeah, be happy I'm even respecting your quarterback, because, oh, look, he made it to the playoffs last year. What happened? He got absolutely slapped around by the Bengals.
Sure did.
And that's why I try not to be an overconfident fan and saying, oh, well, the Chargers are going to beat everyone every single week. Like, I try to make my record predictions very, like, honest. I never have them sweeping the Chiefs because I know that's not likely to happen. I don't have them sweeping the Raiders because we always split with them. The only team I have them sweeping in the division are the Broncos, and that's still, a toss-up for me. Like, you have to respect, I feel like you almost have to respect your division rivals, because anytime you talk shit about your division rivals, like, all year, that's when they come back and hit you with an uppercut and completely knock you out, right? And that's like when we played the Raiders week 18. Did I say we'll win? Yeah, of course I did, because I wanted us to win. It's a playoff spot, right?
Right, exactly.
But at the same time, I'm like, they are the Raiders. We beat them the first time. Knowing our track record, like, we'd probably split them this year and then we won't make it, and that's what happened. I like being what I would like to call a realistic fan. I'm never going to predict the Chargers are going to go 17-0 or any of that shit because I know it's not going to happen. Most of the time I predict them in the 8 to 12 win range. Because that's where I feel like they most likely will end up at the start of the season. Mind you, that's also me assuming most of the key pieces stay healthy. It's true, we lost to Miami in crucial games no matter how good we looked. Exactly, Ammo. Like, Miami was Brady's kryptonite in New England. And all of us saw that. Most years, especially in key games, I feel like Miami, when they know they can put a chink into the Patriots' armor, that's when they show up the best. And that's the thing, with division rivals, you have to respect them, but you also have to know that it motivates everybody when one division rival talks immense amounts of shit all season. And that's why I feel like with how all the Chiefs fans act and how like some of the players on the Chiefs act, that's why I feel like they got punched in the mouth against the Bengals twice last season. Because they overlooked them and then the Bengals made them pay. And that's all it takes. Motivation is a very deadly thing. At least to a sports team, more specifically. Because, like, for example, say your team being the Jags. Let's just say we play each other next season and Christian Kirk talks a whole bunch of shit to Asante Samuel or Derwin James. Well, do you really want to test people like Derwin James and try to talk shit to them before a game? Do you really want to do that? Because we all know he hits hard. You might get a few catches, but he will take you to the ground and make you regret every single one. Right?
Yup, exactly.
And that's the thing, you don't poke the bear. Wait until you've won the game and then talk your shit. If you don't, you just motivate the other team. Like, straight up. And you have to think, with like the signing of Khalil Mack for the Chargers, who knows Derek Carr on our defense better than Khalil Mack does? He knows, because, they practiced against each other for 4 years.
Right.
He knows his mechanics. He knows what he prefers to do. And to me, that's why picking up Khalil Mack, not just because of his skill, but it also gives us a little bit of a leg up against the Raiders when we play them.
Exactly.
Now, talking a little bit about your division now with the Jaguars, because we talked about the Jaguars themselves, but we didn't really talk about anyone else in that division.
Right.
Houston is probably the easiest team for everyone to write off right now. Houston.
Yep.
Because you're like, oh, it's just Davis Mills and some guys close to retirement and, their coach is new and whatever. But, I mean, from a Chargers fan, I overlooked them last season, and look at what they did.
No.
That's called humble pie, people. And every team is capable of dishing that out every given Sunday, and that's what we learned last season. Last season was kind of the year of the upsets. Because I think we had an upset almost every single week, if not multiple of them.
Yeah.
Including the playoffs. And that's what I find the funniest thing about your guys' division specifically, is like Houston's going to get counted out in most games, but last year they proved that with a completely just absolute trash of a roster, they still squeezed out more wins than anyone expected them to.
Yeah.
And mind you, they're playing without a first-round pick to play for. That's the easiest tank job a Texans team could have had because they don't have a first-round pick anyways. But they still won, I think it was, 4 games? 5 games?
Something like that, yeah.
Then your team, as bad as they played, they didn't have the roster to compete with much of the teams they did play.
Yeah.
But you guys did beat the Bills. When you guys beat the Bills, they were on fire at that point. Once again, overlooked. They got smacked in the face for it.
Yup.
And then the Titans. They were counted out as soon as Derrick Henry got injured last season. They kept it on track, got the number 1 seed with him being out for, I think it was half the season. But then they overlooked the Bengals and then got slapped in the face for that. See what I mean? It's like every single team, I think, is guilty of overlooking opponents, and in almost every instance, that team has made that team pay for it. And that's what I feel like is the most fun about football, is just the unpredictability of it all. You think you know what's going to happen. But like 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago, Patriots are going 17-0. They didn't go 17-0. And they lost in a wild card round to the Titans. I think the same thing's going to happen to Tampa this year as it did last year. The same thing happened. Oh, they're going to go 17-0. They got slapped in the face when they played the Rams. After already getting decimated by the Rams once. I mean, the most common example I like to use with a team overlooking an opponent, Pittsburgh against the Jaguars in that playoff game. After, mind you, they were beat by, 14, 20, something like that points during a regular season game. The fan base still overlooked them, still was talking about having a rematch with Brady instead. Got slapped in the mouth repeatedly on both of those games. And that's why I really I like the Jags to some degree. Some of their players are very likable to me. Mind you, most of those players were gone from that season, but like Trevor Lawrence I think is a very likable guy.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think James Robinson, very likable guy. When Miles Jack was there, very likable guy. Jalen Ramsey's likable when it comes to watching him play, but I don't think you want to be on the other side of his smack talk, though.
Right.
And you know when he trains, he probably uses that smack talk, too.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the thing with, like, Jalen Ramsey. Like, you root for his former team. I'm sure you're loving watching him still have success with another team.
You know,
it hurts a little bit, but you like it anyways.
No, I was very salty for a little bit.
For a little bit, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, because it just, at first it's like, oh, you're our guy, like, why are you now leaving? Like, no way you're leaving us now. But I guess what I didn't understand too, like, you know, and from their side and their perspective, and I got a lot of, in meeting, you know, our best friend Darrington Evans, a little bit of an insight of how these guys feel on a more personal level, and how things kind of just go awry with an organization, and you got it. It's not always perfect. That I kind of over time understood that it's like, all right, he was just looking out, for the best interest of himself, for himself.
Yeah.
So I can't even be mad about that.
That's like
be mad about that at all.
Uchenna Nwosu for us, who just signed a deal with, I think it was the Ravens. Seahawks?
He wasn't going to play.
He wants to play, and he knows he's not going to get the play time with Mack and Bosa there.
Exactly.
And I am rooting for him to play very well for his new team, because I feel like once you've been on a team, you're part of that team forever.
Yep.
And that's, I feel like, something a lot of fans like to overlook, is that all because the players leaving your team, that's not because they don't like your team. They just know that either they have a better opportunity somewhere else, or in the case of them getting traded, they didn't want to leave, but they got traded because of the team knowing that they either didn't need them now or wanted them to succeed somewhere else. I feel like if you were to walk into the Chargers locker room and you were to ask, Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, all of them would want Nwosu to play well no matter where he's at. Because the thing with football players is that's a brotherhood. In all sense of the word, that's a brotherhood between those, 52 players?
Something like that, 53.
Those 52, 53 players, that's a brotherhood. You count on each other to play well. You count on each other to win. And yeah, it sucks to see those guys go, but at the same time, none of them have any bad feelings towards those players. And I'm sure we've seen a couple of examples of it when other Chargers have, played Chargers, the Chargers themselves. Once the game's over, they always reconvene at midfield. They have a little chit-chat with each other because they knew each other before. And, obviously their careers went in different directions, but, I mentioned this before, I don't like the fact that we never got to see an interaction between Phillip Rivers and Justin Herbert. Because that's something I would have loved to see.
Same.
But I saw Drew Brees, after he retired, he visited the Chargers training camp. He said a lot of good things about Herbert. And that's one of the things I was happy about because Brees was a Charger before. He started with the Chargers. And so for him to have high praise for, Justin Herbert, who he also had he was able to play against on that Monday Night Football game, the fact is, he sees, and I'm sure Rivers probably feels the same way, team made a good choice in drafting this guy. What I like about Herbert is he's a quiet leader. And I feel like that's the complete opposite of what we had with Rivers. Rivers was a very vocal, passionate leader. I feel like it speaks volumes when you can lead with silence.
Yeah. I could agree.
And that's what Herbert does. He leads with his actions. He doesn't talk it, he walks it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I hope.
Say his 2 cents, but for the most part, he's pretty quiet.
Yeah, and that's like with Trevor Lawrence. He's probably going to be a very great leader for your team. Mm-hmm. You just need to get the pieces around him so that he can succeed.
Yeah, it was just, I think, it was just a very awkward situation. I think Doug Peterson, again, it might not be next year, but
I think in 2 or 3 years tops, Peterson will have Lawrence on the right path.
Yeah, and that's all I could ever ask for, man. That's all I could ever ask for.
I mean, look at what he did with Nick Foles after Wentz got injured.
Yeah.
He was able to take,
Wentz, right?
And with Wentz too. With both guys, they were both counted out. Nobody thought they were going to do anything.
Right.
And, well, when Wentz went down, they were like, okay, well, Eagles are screwed this year. Bye, guys. And it takes a lot for a coach to motivate a player coming off the bench when you know they're hearing all the noise from outside. And you're able to not only motivate them, but keep them focused enough to where they won a Super Bowl with a guy that you thought would just screw them over in the playoffs. And that's one of the things, I feel like Foles is one of those most likable guys no matter where he's at, because he's always been a humble dude.
Always.
No matter, he won a Super Bowl, and you can't tell by by him nowadays because he doesn't flaunt about it. He doesn't talk about it. He just wants to play the game right now. The guy on the screen that just flashed up, Joey Bosa, he plays every game no matter what. Unless he actually has to be, stay out of the game because he got injured or something. But you can tell he gives 100% even when he was triple team last year. He gave 110% to try to get results. And if you don't have a player that gives 110% for your team, then they don't want to be there.
No.
And that's why I feel like that's what happened with Khalil Mack. He didn't want to play for the Bears anymore. He was in no hurry to get back. Because he knew that team was going to go and do a deep rebuild, and he did not want to be part of it.
Can't even blame him.
And I can't blame him. The guy's a competitor, and he doesn't want to be on a team that only wins a couple games. He dealt with that with the Raiders.
It's like, enough of that, dude. I want to win.
And if you're Khalil Mack, you saw the charge, and you're like, young, top-of-the-line quarterback, really good running back, pretty good receivers, and a defense that needs specifically me right now to complete it.
So why not?
So why not go to LA? Plus you get to play the team that got rid of you.
Yep.
Extra motivation. Not only does he have the knowledge of Derek Carr, he has extra motivation to take down the Raiders too. Because I'm sure he would have stayed in on the Raiders had he had a choice in the matter.
I'm sure.
But they traded him because, well, we all know the type of coach he was playing for.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna go into that guy's past because we've already talked about one controversy. We don't got to go into another one.
Right.
But the guy was not a smart coach. He was living in the 1980s, 1990s when there was ground and pound football.
Right.
That's not the league we're in anymore.
No.
We're in the run and gun type of league. I say run and gun, by the way, because Big Ben, for all intents and purposes, wasn't that good the last 2 seasons.
No.
His numbers were good, but that's because he had to come from behind in a lot of games, and he had to throw the football.
So he had no choice but to.
And look at him, when he was going to play Kansas City this season, he knew he wasn't going to win that game. He knew it, because he said as much in the press conference. He said he wants to go out and have fun, and he knew what he was going up against. And to be fair with it, that Steelers defense, they played their asses off. But you can't hold Patrick Mahomes down for 60 minutes. You simply can't.
You just can't.
And if your offense isn't doing anything, then you're screwed. Because eventually the defense is going to crumble because they're tired, and you keep them on the field the entire game, basically. And that's why I feel like we're going to talk about this one now. Mitch Trubisky being signed by the Steelers. A lot of people thought, what the hell? Why would you sign that guy? He obviously sucks. If anybody can turn a quarterback around, it's Mike Tomlin.
Agreed.
And obviously he saw something in Mitch Trubisky, otherwise they wouldn't have grabbed him. He's seeing something that we don't see.
He has to.
And I feel like this is Mitch's last chance to prove that he wasn't a waste of a pick. And I feel like that alone, that's what Mike Tomlin's going to use. He's going to say, oh, people count you out there. Go out there and prove them wrong. And who knows, maybe after this season he might prove that first round pick was worth being spent on him. Because right now, look at the other 2 guys he was drafted alongside, Mahomes and Watson. He's going to get compared to them for the rest of his career. If he can at least prove he was worth the pick, that at least helps his case to, everybody. Now, real quick, I'm going to save this franchise. And I don't think you've actually ever seen my Mutt team. But I'm going to go ahead and show you. You might have already seen it. You might not have. Keep in mind, though, this team I started back in, like, December or November, so this is only 3 months of working on it. And mind you, this is working on it off and on because I was, like, job hunting and all that stuff, too. And this is without, like, I'm not into playing MUT online. So this is with just grinding solos, opening packs, and that type of stuff. I don't know why it's not logging me in. What are you doing? I don't think it's because of an update, because otherwise I probably would have... Okay, there you go. I don't know why it was just deciding to not log me in. But that was kind of annoying there for a second. But yeah, it was... I don't know, is there something wrong with the servers or something? Okay, never mind, now it's logging me in. It like delayed me logging in for a second for some reason. I was like, if it was the servers, it probably would have cut my connection with the stream too.
Probably.
Well, yeah, I'm running off console, so if those servers went down, that means my Wi-Fi servers would have went down too.
Sure.
Okay, so here's the team, right? And I feel like you're going to like this team considering it's, isn't something I put a lot of money or anything like that into. But here's what it looks like.
Okay.
I think I'm going to replace the Robert Hunt card because I did get the Aaron Donald fullback and I kind of want to try him out.
Yeah, hey, he's okay. I love the big boys though.
Yeah.
Big boys. Vita Vea is actually still my starting running back to this day.
And then here's my defense.
Okay.
That Cam's kind of glitchy, by the way.
He's really good because he's tall, 6'5".
6'5", and he has 89 speed.
Decent.
Which is decent for a middle linebacker.
Right, exactly.
In franchise, that's insane. But in MUT, it's just decent.
It's decent, yeah.
Like, for example, let's look at Kaiser White for a second. Kaiser White has 95 speed.
Sheesh.
And Kaiser White is an actual middle linebacker, whereas Cam Newton is a oop player, so...
Right.
And then, obviously, nobody really cares much about special teams, but in case you do, this is what they look like.
Pretty solid. Mr. Nick Folk.
Yeah, Nick Folk, I got him right when the Zero Chill promo was happening. I think I had a, gold player here before. And then I still had my bronze player at punter, so I got that one when that promo came out. But yeah, I like to... Me not being that much into the competitive landscape, I just like playing the solos, getting the coins, and upgrading the team gradually.
I feel you.
Okay, so you and I have had this interview going for most of the time I've been up for, I think.
Yeah.
I know I was a good 10-15 minutes beforehand, I think, is when I booted up, and I think most of the last 2 hours has been the podcast time. So, first off, one more question for you, or a couple more questions. Very simple ones, nothing too elaborate. But is there a certain beverage you like to have next to you when you stream?
Yeah. I'm gonna kind of cheat here. It's not just one. It's a few.
A few's fine.
In a perfect world, my little routine before I, actually get the chance to sit down in the chair and hit the go live button. If I could have my water, nice water bottle, maybe two, so I don't have to get up again. G Fuel and coffee because I don't really run streaming in the mornings, right? So
yeah.
So to get the day going, normal, they, can't get a meal in sometimes, so the coffee kind of fills that role, and then G Fuel, as a juice. Gotta always have water.
Alright, that's fair enough. I actually like to have, if I have the time to go grab some, I like to have body armor next to me most of the time. Mainly the strawberry banana stuff.
Yes.
I like to have Dr. Pepper of some kind. Or I like the sweet tea Mio. Those are kind of my 3 go-to.
That's some solid go-tos.
And then, now with your pre-stream ritual type deal, you grab your drinks, right? What else do you do before you stream? Do you, eat before you boot up? Do you wait to eat until after? That type of stuff.
Honestly, for the most part, some days, it's almost roll out of bed. It might be as simple as just taking a shower real quick and then booting up, because it's so close to the time of when I'm supposed to be getting on, and it's so early in the morning.
Yeah.
It's almost, I don't really get to do too much. But just those moments of just being able to do the little things, simple brush your teeth, shower, gives me the time or the moment to kind of meditate and get myself in the right frame of mind and wake up and be ready for the day. Be the same positive influence that I've tried to be in the last few years. So.
All right, I think that's fair. That's a fair enough answer. And now for the last question, probably. There's a lot of new things that will be going on in the NFL next season. A lot of changes. Pittsburgh's quarterback's changing. Obviously, somebody's going to have Deshaun Watson now. There's obviously some revenge tours that are going to be going on. What are your 5 most exciting things you have for this upcoming season? That doesn't have to do with your team, by the way.
Okay, just storylines.
Just in terms of the general NFL, what type of storylines are you most hyped to see the next chapter of?
I hate talking about the Chargers so much, but as soon as that move was made with Khalil Mack, I was like, wow, what are those two gonna do? What kind of mess can those guys get themselves into this season?
Especially if you consider the fact that Khalil Mack hasn't had a tier rusher like Joey Bosa opposite him ever.
Right, ever. I guess you could say Robert Quinn last year, but then he was hurt last year, so that's...
Robert Quinn is a lot like Melvin Ingram to me. He was really good, but he's not Bosa either.
I don't know. Man had 17, 18 sacks or something like that last season.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's fair. I haven't seen enough Bears football to know for sure. I've seen a lot more of their really bad games, because for some reason I get their bad games here. But yeah, so there's that. Okay, what's your next one?
There's a lot. There's so much.
Okay, so instead of going deeper into that, we're gonna put a pin in that, and you can answer me with that on Twitter, I think.
Gotcha.
So, do you have any closing comments for chat?
Yeah, really quickly. We don't speak about it as much as streamers, or maybe enough. But make sure that you're really enjoying both being a viewer and being a streamer. We don't get on here every day to make money. some of us, it's not even to play the video game. It's to be an entertainer and to be interactive with the people that want to be around you. It's simply just being friends at the end of the day. So just never forget that. Never forget that aspect of streaming on both ends, both being a good viewer and being a good streamer. You know?
All right, I like that message for sure. Okay, so another thing that I do with my guests is I let them pick from a list of people I'm thinking a raid, and they get to pick where the raid goes to.
Oh, that's dope. I like it.
So, your options are Rocks, Johnny Collapse, Rowdy Time,
Okay.
Sap Daddy Gaming, aka Sapper Jedi, and Who is Beans? By the way, one of the options was going to be Big Evo, but I don't see him anymore, so...
All good names, all good names. You know, we'll go to Sapper Jedi.
Okay, so Sap Daddy Gaming it is. Okay, so... Now, for my parting words for my stream here... make sure you, obviously not a lot of you have the emotes, but whatever emotes you do have, go ahead and spam them. Ammo, you and I are going to have to connect on an interview at some point as well, because I would like to definitely give you some time as well. But we're going to go ahead and ship the raid off to Sap Daddy Gaming here, aka Sapper Jedi, one of the more well-known names of the community for sure. And so obviously if you have my emotes, go ahead and drop them. And thank you, DK, for taking some time out of your day to be here.
Oh, of course, anytime, man, anytime.
Okay, for some reason they double printed the Sap Daddy there. I don't know why they did that. I hate that you have to @ them too. Like, it's kind of dumb. But thank you for being here for the time you had today to be here for. Definitely, you were probably one of my more sought after people I wanted to have on the podcast. So I was happy you had the time to do so. And it keeps on typing my... Sometimes I hate the raid command in this. I'm going to see if I can do it the other way, and instead of typing it, just use the raid button on the stream command thingy. Because I actually had to bring it up on my browser on my phone, because I was having problems logging in to my actual app. Okay, here we go. Now I think it's about to work for us here. Yeah, there you go. Okay, make sure you hop into the raid. Make sure you refresh the stream so that your view counts on our boy Sapper's stream. And once again, thank you again for coming in, DK, and I'll definitely talk to you again sometime on Twitter.
Of course, awesome, man. Anytime.
Alright, man, have a nice day.
You too.
Okay, guys. Go give Sapper some love.
78 for Moxie! Moxie, hell yeah! Hey!